Merry meet everybody. It is your Friday hostess, Poe Moonstone, and you are watching Witches of the Moon. This week on the channel, we are discussing who do witches worship. So, a lot of pagans and witches and Wiccans consider themselves eclectic. So, therefore, that tends to reflect in who or what they worship. I have known pagans that have worshipped the seasons. I've known pagans and Wiccans and witches that have worshipped the sun and the moon and the earth as separate entities. I have more commonly, though, come in contact with witches and Wiccans and pagans who worship deity. Deity is the divine energy, and it's manifested in different cultural folklores as gods and goddesses. So a lot of pagans and Wiccans, witches as well, will worship deity. And I can't tell you who, you're supposed to worship because that is something that you must determine on your own. It's believed that the deity that you are intended to worship or the deity that you are connected with will make the line of communication open to you through a medium with which is best for you. What that means is that they will contact you, they will come through to you or make a connection to you in whatever way they see fit that is for your highest good. Now, this can be through many different modes of, working. So it could be through ritual work. It could be through. Your spells. It could be through scrying. It could be through divination of some kind. It can be, like in my case, my matron goddess came through to me through a guided meditation. And she was very direct and very, I don't want to say forceful, but she was just very direct. She was just very adamant as well. So, and that was through a guided path-working meditation that I had done. And I found her a little over a year ago. She came to me through that path-working meditation that I did and spoke to me very clearly, came to me. It was a very personal, private situation, so I'm not really going to elaborate on it, but she did speak to me, gave me a message, and that's how she communicates with me. So you see what I mean when I say that your deity of any kind will contact you through the means by which they feel is best for your highest good to kind of understand and comprehend. So typically, we as pagans, witches, and Wiccans like our deities, our different from different pantheons. So, a lot of Wiccans and witches and pagans take their deities from Celtic tradition, or they take them from Welsh tradition, or they take them from, Greek mythology, like I do. Some of them take from the Hispanic culture. Some of them take from the Indian culture, I guess, as well as like the Hindus or the Buddhists. It just depends on what it is that calls to you. Now, you can worship deity in any way that you kind of feel called to do so. The most common form of worship is to provide offerings to your deity. Especially, it seems to be more so when you are performing spell work or ritual, and when you're kind of in need of things. However, I want to say that I heard Blythe say this. It's good to give them offerings no matter what the case, even if you don't need anything or aren't asking for it, because it like she said, it's not a bribe. It's just showing that you honor them. It's showing that you respect them, and in offering them, gifts of any kind that are related to what it is that they like or are connected to, you're showing that you have an understanding of who they are and what they're all about. And that's always good. So, like I said, offerings are very, very, very common when it comes to deity worship. I personally, and I'll just give you an example, my matron goddess is Selene. She's the Greek goddess of the moon. And every full moon, I put out my tarot cards and my crystals and, you know, amulets and necklaces and whatever else I need charging for that full moon. And along with those things, what I like to do is give her an offering because I set my things outside. I give her an offering of full moon incense. Every full moon, that's what I do. I'll set all of my crystals and tarot cards and amulets and necklaces and yada 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 out in the moonlight, and I will light a full moon incense and leave it outside for her. That's just a way for me to show her that I honor her, I respect her, and I appreciate her lending her energies to my tools. It's kind of an even exchange of energy. She's putting her energy into my tools. I am giving her energy through way of incense as an offering. So it's all about the even exchange with your deities, because it's not about buying your way into their good graces or the like. It's what it is it's about even exchange. It's about the balance of equal energy being exchanged between you and your deity. So that's the way I look at it. There are lots of different ways that you can give offerings. For instance, and I'm going to bring you a little bit closer here, I have this little crystal grid set up, and it's consistent of hematite, tiger's eye, garnet, carnelian, and a couple other stones that I'm not sure what they are, but I felt very, very, very pulled to use them in this setup, as well as a large citrine in a bowl of cleansing salts, rosemary, and sage in the middle. This is kind of set up for the goddess for Lugnasta. Or I hope I'm saying that right. That's how I have been called to say it, but I don't know if that's the right pronunciation. This is an offering to the goddess and the god because he's sacrificing his life for the goddess, and she is kind of going into her crone stage at this point. She's kind of making the transition to the crone stage at this point. So that's kind of why I set this up. It's an abundance, protection, and creation. Sorry, creativity grid. So I have that for her, and it sits right in the middle. And then here, you can't see it very well because the lighting isn't great in here, but this is my offering bowl to the goddess, which I painted this picture of her, and I have it right under her picture. And what's in here is just a mix of different things. Dried flowers, I have dried rosemary, I have dried apricot pits, I have juniper berries, there are some cinnamon sticks, and also some whole pieces of clove that I have in there, as well as, there's some other things in there that I'm kind of forgetting because I made that mixture a while ago. It needs to be changed out, needs to have fresh stuff put in it, but I always have that offering bowl on my altar for my goddess because those are things that I was called to put in there for her, that she told me that she wanted in there. And I know that sounds crazy, but like I said, she comes to me in pathworking meditations, and she kind of tells me things. So she gives me these little messages and she's like, you need to do this. So I listen. But that is another aspect of who we worship is your deity will from time to time, if not majority of the time, give you little messages, even if it's not direct, even if it's not them speaking the words to you. It can come in the form of an animal, it could come in the form of, a leaf or a feather, or rain that is greatly needed in a certain area, or they have messages that they send out, and sometimes they're a little bit subtle. So it's good to kind of be open to the signs, I guess, of the deities. But yeah, so that's kind of my video on this. I know it's a little bit shorter than normal, but um, really, it's not like I can sit there and tell you who you need to worship, because that's not my job and or um, my place to tell you. So it's something that is kind of trial and error, finding your deity, finding the thing that you are supposed to worship. Or that you feel called to worship, not supposed to worship, because that implies that it's, you have to do it. But whatever it is that calls you to worship, that's kind of the first step. And then what I did is, she came to me in that pathworking meditation. Celine came to me, and I started looking her up, and I did a lot of research on her, on the things that she's associated with, on kind of the things that represent her. There isn't, unfortunately, a whole lot of information with regard to kind of proper things to put out for her, as far as offerings and that sort of thing. Um, the information on her is kind of difficult to come by, but I've done a lot of research on her just as a deity in the Greek mythology, and have found out a great deal of information about her. And that's probably the most important part when you get to know your deity, is you need to do your homework on them. And I know that I kind of stressed that in my last video, doing your homework, but it's something that needs to be addressed with this as well. So yeah, that's my video. I hope you enjoyed. I'm sorry I'm not in it this weekend. I'm sorry that it's coming out kind of late. I have been running around like a chicken with my head cut off, trying to get things done this week, because I've had just crazy stuff going on. But I hope you enjoyed looking at my altar this whole time. But yeah, that's my video on who we worship, and I hope you've enjoyed, and I hope you're having a blessed week and a magical weekend. And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe, and we'll be talking to you soon. Blessed be, guys.